Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cohesion podcast. And today I'm joined by Christina Kucek, Executive Director of Intelligence Automation at CAI. She has over 15 years consulting experience in delivering cutting edge implementations in conversational AI, one of the big reasons that we have her here today to talk about, and also natural language processing, robotics process automation. Christine is a certified project management professional. Ooh, the PMP. There we go. Do they still do PMBOK? Is that a thing? The product
They do.
management bot.
Yeah.
Look, look at that. Look how smart I am.
Body of body of knowledge. You got it.
And a Scrum Master with expertise in agile methodologies and process improvement. Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I have some rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit better. Not
Okay.
super personal, unless you're like, no, I really want to get super personal. Then we can ask those questions as well. Um, the first one is, what's an insult you've received that you're proud of?
Ooh. Um, my family calls me nerd pretty often. Like my family and my friends, they call me a nerd. You'll probably figure that out why. But I don't consider that an insult. I've embraced
No.
my inner nerd. She's here.
Yeah, there was a time when it maybe was, I don't know, like once Revenge of the Nerds came out and then the internet.
I feel
I
like
don't
it's
know.
cooler now.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. Geek, I think that's cool too at this point. Yeah,
I'm
you're
into
in.
it.
Yeah, you're in.
Awesome.
What are the top 5 most opened apps on your phone?
Oh, probably Kindle. I read a lot of Kindle books. Safari, definitely Audible. Instagram is probably up there.
Yeah.
Um, and I have a chat on AI app that I have been using. It's competing with Safari now. It's
Oh,
using the
wow.
Chat GPT interface. Yeah, so I've been asking that a lot more often, honestly.
Very cool. Is it doing the audio back and forth? Are you typing things in?
Yes. Well, when I have a question that comes from the back seat of my car, like from one of my kids or something pops into my head while I'm driving, yeah, I can push the button on the app and just ask it and it'll just tell me the answer. So it
Yeah,
just,
it's super exciting. I
pretty
mean, a
cool.
lot of these you could choose the voice that you wanted. I mean, I guess you could do that with Siri
Yeah.
Siri and what's the other one now? Oh, Alexa, I guess
Alexa.
Google.
Like,
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, all those fun
better
things.
not say her
But
name out loud. She'll
you
talk.
you met I know, it's doing it right now. Oh, geez, I gotta turn that off. There we go. Sorry, Siri. No, not right now. There's you mentioned reading. You're a big reader. What are you reading right now that's on Kindle, or what are you listening to on Audible?
Yeah. Oh, happy with this question. 2 nights ago, I downloaded this book, Weapons of Math Destruction. So I'm excited about that. Told you, I warned you, I'm a nerd.
High
Um,
five. Yeah, that's
Thank
fantastic.
you. I was preparing for the new Dune movie, so I downloaded and reread the first Dune book.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah. Oh, I read a good one about AI. It's called Power and Prediction: The Disruptive Economics of Artificial Intelligence, which I tried to convince other people in my organization to read, and I lost my audience in a big way. They were like, but I thought it was a page turner.
They're like, "Go back to Dune. Let's talk about Dune.
Right?
Because if I don't read it,
Right?
I'll watch the movie and we can talk about it."
Totally.
This is really compelling to me, and we'll get into more AI, but you mentioned sort of baking in or cooking in ethics into the AI, and
Mhm.
I think that you're right. I mean, a lot of us are just I mean, maybe I'm pretty optimistic, but a lot of people, myself on my bad days, I'm like, AI is gonna destroy the world, and it's related to ethics. Like, when I think about it, how how tell me just a little bit more about that. How do you sort of bake that in for humanity or for people or for workforces?
Yeah. I mean, we talk to our clients about this a lot. I actually went and got a certification on that as well about implementing ethical AI because I wanted to
Yeah.
be able to speak intelligently to it. I just think it's so foundational. So setting up the groundwork. What are your marching orders? How are you going to address AI concerns from energy consumption? Right, because
Oh. Mhm.
it requires a ton of GPUs to maintain these large language models, and if you're going to use them every day, then just the energy consumption alone. But
Yeah.
in all regards, security. How are you going to talk to people about, this is what we persist, this is what we won't, this is how we're going to leverage your data, this is how we won't? I think it's really important in order to dispel the fear of AI and of these technologies to be really clear and like say it loud, say it proud. This is how we intend, right? To use this data. And our company's had a really awesome policy where we implement our own solutions. We're like, we're not going to use it for feedback unless we explicitly tell you. But in any of these, interfaces, you are just safe. You upload a file, you can ask questions about it. We just want you using this to accelerate your work. So Big Brother isn't watching you. We're just trying to give you these capabilities to accelerate your work.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, speaking
Yeah.
about where you're at now, CAI. So, of course, I try to do homework, go onto the website, look at everything that's going on.
Mhm.
I guess explain to us what CAI does because it seems big. Like it's not just simply like, hey, we make AI chatbots, or hey, we help you with talent at your organization. Like what is CAI focused on? What do they do?
Yeah, happy. CAI is a global technology services firm. We have about 8,700 associates worldwide, and we've been in business for over 40 years. Our expertise lies in really using talent and technology to power the possible for our clients, colleagues, and our communities. Our solutions are really based on providing benefits to clients in both the public and commercial sectors. And our neurodiversity employment program is near and dear to
Mm,
my heart. My team is neurodiverse, right? We have a mixture
mhm.
of neurotypical and neurodivergent individuals, and it makes our team so much stronger and better. And that's just the way that we operate.
So when you work with clients, I'm going to bring up this neurodiversity thing. We
Mhm.
nerded out getting excited to talk to you about that because it's something that
Yeah.
CAI puts front and center, which is really cool.
Mhm.
But is it you work with companies and then you come up with custom solutions, strategies? Is it really I guess personalized is kind of a strange tailored to a particular company? You kind of meet with them and pull together things.
It can be. I mean, we implement in a number of different ways, and I think that we have like more of a bespoke approach, right? We have our
Yeah,
standard approach where we'll work with their team and say, what are your goals? Like I can't speak as intelligently as our folks from that practice, but what I know
sure.
of them is that they can do custom solutions where you have a team of neurodivergent individuals that are doing things like automated testing or coding or different
Hmm.
typically IT roles. My team, we trained our managers and we just said, all right, let's give this a try. Onboarded team members, trained them up in our technology stack, and they brought all of their skills and talent to the table, and they've just become amazing team members, really defying all the stereotypes that people
Yeah,
have about this group. So it's really fascinating how much we've been able to achieve. I'm really proud of that part of CAI. We have a lot of heart. We're a privately owned company, so we get to do a lot of really cool altruistic things
yeah.
all over the world. Yeah, it's pretty
Take
cool.
that, all you hardcore publicly traded companies.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
business, big business.
So what do you do there? And I guess that's kind of a lead up to that. Knowing what the CAI does in general, what's your focus?
Oh, yeah. So I'm the executive director of intelligent automation, which is a pretty
That's
fancy title.
fancy. I know. That's
I know,
awesome.
right?
Yeah.
But but really, I get to work with our clients, talking about kind of the art of the possible. What can they do with these technologies, with automation, with artificial intelligence? We had humble beginnings where we rolled out our RPA program kind of early in that. that technology life cycle. We were early adopters. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
leaned in hard in hyper automation, which we kind of define the way Gartner does with trying to automate everything you can and introduce AI solutions to extend the capability of automation
Mhm.
to really accelerate business. So I get to work with leaders to talk about the art of the possible and then advise them on, well, here are some technologies that would probably be best options for you. And
Yeah,
then help them understand, how do we get to ROI from here, right? You have this idea. These are the technologies we should use. And this is how you get your return on investment in the short
yeah.
term, medium term, long term. Cause like, what's that saying? Like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Yeah.
Right? You have to like break up some of these massive goals that they have and approach it incrementally to really get the value.
I you know,
Clearly, I love my job.
you totally love your job, and you could tell. I, they've been around a long time, CAI, since you
Mhm.
said, 40 years, is that what you said? So since the
Yeah.
'80s, it's been around.
Mhm.
Has the focus always been similar, not necessarily in the full automation, but sort of making,
Mhm.
I guess, freeing up people to do really great work type of thing? Or how has that changed the focus of CAI up until now? I mean, I know automation's been around a lot longer than last year and ChatGPT
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
race, on those types of things. But how has that evolved to what you're doing now?
Yeah, good question. So I started 13 years ago, so I have a
Oh,
unique
wow.
view. I'm kind of a lifer. They just let me play with all these different technology tools as they come and go. So, I stuck around. I'm like, yeah, like, great. But we were an early adopter of RPA, and we started
Okay.
rolling out things like machine learning models in intelligent
Mhm.
document extraction. Uh, Today we're implementing tools that leverage generative AI and machine learning models just to make our clients and ourselves more efficient.
Yeah.
Things like automated testing, code generation. We use it for code generation,
Sure.
automated testing. We use it for reviewing contracts and looking at data,
Yeah.
searching through documents, all of those types of things. I haven't written a proposal in a long time by myself without, or like a PowerPoint without,
Yeah.
running some of it by. Oh, if I'm replying to a salty email, I ask our generative AI solution to tone it down for me and make it, and then I'll send that version out. So it helps me in a myriad ways to be
Yeah.
the, professional I want to be.
So I guess with all these types of automation, you mentioned an acronym that I'm not familiar with. RPA? Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah,
Yeah, what does
yeah.
RPA stand for?
So that's robotics process automation. That is like a software robot that will sit
Okay.
on
Okay.
somebody's machine or on a
Yeah.
server, and you can schedule it, or a human can trigger it, and it will just go through your user interface and interact with multiple applications, read things through
Okay.
spreadsheets, enter them into websites. Basically, not intelligent, very scripted. Do this step, then this step, then this step. People are always like, "Oh, the robots are going to, they can't. They just follow their instructions." They don't. They don't. Until you get into like AI solutions driving those
Yeah.
automations, which is kind of our next step, the
Yeah.
actionable AI factor, you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about the robots. They don't know what they're doing.
I wonder, when you say describe the RP is I guess artificial intelligence and where we're headed with that, is it almost like that same kind of program, but it learns and it figures out more efficient ways to do it, or it may change the way it's doing something based off of your behavior in order to make it easier? Is that kind of where we're going in that regard?
I believe so. I mean, I think that with generative AI and large language models being able to understand what I'm asking for, right? I need my
Mhm.
password reset, for example, and it knowing what automation to trigger to do that. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of where we're going, that actionable AI. And there might be multiple, like we've realized that in a lot of our solutions, right? It's a very simplified solution. But, sometimes there's multiple steps involved where you have to go out to maybe multiple systems and get data from Salesforce and then
Yeah.
pull it into this system and then you can create the output. Being able to do all of those things just from interacting with an AI rather than having to actually navigate to all of those systems. That's pretty much where we're headed, I think.
That's in a previous life, technical writer, long time ago, like mainframe days. That dates me
Okay.
all the way back. But it sounds like it kind of removes that because back then or even currently, it would say, "Hey, I need to update my password. Here's the set of instructions that we've written for you to update your password." And instead, "Hey, I need to update your password. Great. What do you want it to be?" Bloop, and just take care of it on the back end automatically without having to go into anything. And that sounds awesome. Like from my standpoint, as sort of like what a small example, but a great example of kind of where we're going with that. What are what are other ones? So when we think about um I guess employee experience, what they're going to experience at a company, where are some other areas that we're going to see AR that or that we're using it now, you're using it now to, as you mentioned before, I guess, take care of those repetitive tasks, the things that can be automated.
Mhm. Well, just to clarify, robotics process automation, super dumb, just a script, but can navigate things, right? So
Probably
without the
me in general.
AI,
Yeah, yeah.
you've got the human brain, which is an
Yeah.
advantage still.
I was
It
just
is.
comparing
It
you
is.
and me. So I'll be the dumb robot. You can be the high advanced AI pulling it together. So there's a difference
Okay.
between those two then.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've been doing a lot of is working with our chief human resource officer colleagues and asking them, what are your goals? And one of the big
Yeah.
things that we've seen lately with the labor market and the available talent and that competition for the best talent and then retaining them and not letting them go once you have them is that employee experience piece, right? Being able to integrate the chat with benefits and payroll, right? When's my next paycheck? I don't want to have to go out to the intranet and search for things. I'm working in Teams today, like Microsoft Teams or Slack.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to ask the bots, like, when's my next pay period, right?
Yeah.
Well, where
Yeah.
do I go to find a list of providers that are in network for my healthcare? Like, can I just get that? Can you just give that to me and make my life easier? I think we're all
Yeah.
just looking for somebody to make our life easier. And can I just go one place to do that, right? So those are the types of solutions. Things like employee onboarding, we're really accelerating our clients. That I think, based on the research that I hear from our HR professionals, is huge.
Mm.
So, what they say is employee retention is a lot of times can be impacted by their first week or two of employment. So, if
Yeah.
we can get them their machine, their name tag for their door if they're in the office, get them access, right? So they get their machine, their access to all the systems that they need. They get their email, it's already set up. They show up on day one and they're ready to go. That impression that you make as a company on their new employee will help us retain our best talent, right? And that reduces our cost overall for trying to recruit people and train people. And then, that retention piece is really valuable. It's not always as easy to crunch those ROI numbers to get the value in those types of automations.
Yep.
But that's a very timely process too, which is what makes that AI component so compelling, right?
Yeah.
Because the HR professional has to stop what they're doing throughout their day, right? Like the hiring manager clicks hire, they need to stop what they're doing. Now, most of these systems should be connected in the cloud. That's how they sell them. They're like, oh, yeah, we talked to all these
Yeah. We
other
talked
big,
to those
and then
API. This is going to do this. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, API is going to do everything. And then, but like the reality of our lives is like, but wait a second,
Yeah.
there's data missing. There's like data enrichment that has to happen in between these systems. Like
Yeah.
these fields don't match, these values don't match, and this system to this system to that system, or the API is only available at this ridiculous, exorbitant price. Like we have it, but
Yeah.
you don't have the license, right? So that's what we're doing with a lot of these automations, and we have them triggered basically, right? So that somebody clicks hire, and they send for the background screening. They send to a different system for the drug screening if that's required. They can even, send it out for a credit report. And then once those things are returned, if the news is good and we can proceed to hire them,
Yeah.
right? You go ahead and you go out and you set up their payroll record in that system. You request their access in Active Directory, and these things just fall like dominoes.
Yeah.
So it's not the HR person that's like, wait, stop what you were saying there. Let me log onto my computer because Jerry won't start work on Monday unless I click 17 buttons, right? Which is a very, like, that's the life that everybody's living right now,
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
lot of
Poor
places.
poor Jerry. Uh, well, let stay here for a second on the scene because I'm trying to. I think I get it, but piecing this together as if it's in a movie. It's iRobot. It's at the beginning of the movie. They come through. So
Mhm.
said person, they likely apply for the role to get
Mhm.
hired, and then it sounds like you would have um, AI possibly take them all the way to the interview, um, and sort of like pick them out as a possible candidate for the interview, still have a human take a look at it and do that. Is that and then once they get the thumbs up to be hired, what does that potentially look like for the person? Do they know they're chatting with a because you'd say like they or you, the next step, next step, next step, next step. Do they know that they're not interacting with a person in that situation, or is it generative AI, a personality, something that we've branded with the company that's interacting with them and moving them forward?
Well, we're a little bit more. I'm not necessarily advocating for too much interaction between AI and the human. Again, going
Oh,
back to the
interesting.
responsible, ethical
Yeah, this is
AI.
great. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
we use AI strategically, right, in
yeah.
pieces of these processes. So if it comes to employee needs to upload forms, right,
Hmm.
extracting all those forms using a machine learning skill, right, or but even before that, using AI to try to identify the right candidate who's a great fit and give each person kind of a score. I have mixed feelings about that, like the whole keyword game where people are just copying and pasting
I
pieces of the
know.
job description and literally typing it into their resume and uploading it. Like, there's some lessons I think that we're still learning in that space.
Hmm.
So yeah, we use it as an accelerator, but it's still a human brain. It's still those folks in recruiting and HR and talent that need to be that integral piece, that would be missing. I think it wouldn't meet our expectations without the human brain involved there. But to give them a score, right, to say this person, based on all the things you said you really wanted to see on a resume, this person had most of these things listed. So you
Hmm.
might want to look at them on this order. But I would strongly recommend that recruiters still, examine the applicants more
Yeah.
thoroughly, because especially in technology, somebody could have a lot of items that, like, on their resume that are adjacent to that role that would make them a great fit, but they
Hmm.
didn't copy and paste from the job description word for word, so they're not going to get the 99%, but
That's
they
right.
might be this amazing candidate. And that's the one word of caution. I don't think we should, like, necessarily replace that human with AI. I think always an accelerator at this point. Always look at it as an
Yeah.
accelerator. But when it
Yeah.
comes to, like, just the person's been hired. The manager interviewed them. They interviewed all the candidates. They hired them, and they click that hire button. It's my this automation plan. Implementing automation or even conversational AI with
Hmm.
triggering these automated scripts, whether they're API calls or they're automated scripts that go through the GUI, like the user interface. Um, I don't want to hold the HR representative hostage to have to sit at their desk and refresh, 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 click on all these buttons to move the candidate. Like, we've agreed, they're hired. As long as we get all of these steps completed, welcome to our family, right? Welcome to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
organization. But I just don't think the HR representative needs to necessarily be held hostage to click all those buttons.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
should they
Like
should
some.
get more time to talk to people, right? To build
Right. Right.
relationships, to make it a great company.
Yeah, yeah, they kick it off,
Yeah.
and then that interface, that interaction. Well, and for a new hire, they don't have to learn any systems out of the gate in that sort of situation.
Mhm.
Like I'm just going to walk you through and take care of everything off the
Yeah.
on the back end before they come on
Mhm.
board, before they get hired. It's interesting. I like your answer on the ethics regarding that. I mean, I geek out a little bit. It's kind of like Star Trek, where I'm going to have
Yeah.
Data walking me through everything the from beginning to end. I'm just going to show up and my live long and prosper. I'm just going to show
Yeah.
up to work, and my hiring manager will be like, "Oh yeah, I have no idea. The robot picked you, took you all the way through. Let's get to know each other." That's
Right.
strange to get to
Yeah.
that point, especially right now. Um, but what you mentioned about the HR, like not having them be held hostage, like make their lives a little
Mhm.
bit easier, or free them up to actually have the one-on-one human to human connection with others. I heard a great phrase. It was actually from a simpler report that we were talking about a few days ago. And they called it augmented intelligence instead of artificial
Mhm.
intelligence, meaning it's like creating. I mean, I want to say cyborg because that's cool, but creating this human AI superpower, like for HR for
Mhm.
other people. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Is that more ethical to just be sort of augmenting my intelligence or my capabilities using something like that?
I really think it is. And I feel like our company sort of, I feel like I'm a cyborg to a certain extent because I'm using these AI tools every day. I mean, I already confessed I haven't created a PowerPoint presentation like in months, like maybe even a year, if I'm being honest, without
So
using one of these tools. So it's making me faster and better every single day right now.
y-
And that's only because and I sound braggy. That sounds braggy, right?
well, you're a,
Because
you're a nerd.
oh,
You're like, hey, listen, I'm on top of this. The
yeah,
rest of you folks
well,
catch up.
right? But no, our president and CEO was like, "I don't need a business case for this. This is what we're doing. We're leading with technology. We're accelerating our people." And
Yeah,
luckily, his company is full of other technologists, and in we're a privately held company. So if he says go, we just get to go do whatever he tells us to
you
do, right?
go.
It's great.
Yeah,
So we leaned in really hard, and we didn't have to have some sort of business justification where like, oh, we were saving so and so 8 hours a day, or 15-minute increments like throughout their week. We didn't have to crunch the numbers. He just kind of like he said, do it ethically, do it
you're right.
responsibly, and you're good to go. So fly birds fly, and we went ahead and made that happen. And now we've implemented generative AI across our organization, in a safe, secure way. So we're
Yeah.
all kind of CAI, the cyborg company. I don't know if that's like a
See,
marketing's gonna kill me when they hear this podcast for real. They'll be like, "We did not authorize that."
that's it's pretty dope. Like I'd be interested if I saw that for sure. Well, the you said you haven't generated a PowerPoint, or at least it gets things started. Like I know that I've definitely
Yes.
used it for or cleans things up as well
Yes.
and putting it together. But you've been able to generate like actual slides or just the content for slides. I'm totally fascinated by it.
Oh,
Like,
oh, yes. At this point, I can upload a deck and have it analyze my slides for me and tell me what I screwed up, but I still copy and paste it. I mean, I do the formatting. Like the human's in control here. I'm not going to
sure,
give the
sure,
reins,
yeah.
not completely. I mean, but I've got a golf game appointment. No, I'm joking. No,
Well,
I'm still behind the driver's seat. I'm still behind the wheel.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm gonna tell people, even when I'm not. When we get to that point, if we get to that point, I hope we don't. Like, I like this conversation about the ethics behind it, and related to that, a common question has been coming up, related to workforce. I would say labor shortage, in some cases, especially in tech right now. Like, there's an overall labor shortage across. Well, the world is coming, but certainly in the U.S., super low unemployment, but in tech, it's a little bit different. And the
Mhm.
conversations around generative AI, augmented intelligence, superpowers, cyborgs is that Christina, if you're cyborg and you got superpowers, one, we only need one of you, and two,
Mm,
can you pump out 4 times the amount of work? You're doing double right now. Um, there's a nervousness around that. Is that
yeah.
something that you foresee, or is there going to be more like, hey, Christina, you got a golf game to go to. You're super quick. We're measuring you on your productivity. Like, have fun. Like which direction do we see it going?
That's an interesting question. I have a couple of different thoughts on that. Number one,
Yeah.
I have always
Grab.
had kind of a work from anywhere policy with my team, which is like, I
Yeah.
need you to get this many things done this week. This is what's in your queue. If you can pull things from next week into your queue this week, great. As long as you get this amount done, I'm a happy manager. Right.
Hmm.
So whether you are in the US or India or on a beach in Bali, like, it doesn't really matter to me as long as that work gets done. Right. So if AI is giving you a superpower and you're able to get more done in that time, and there's a golf appointment that you need to go to, you got your work done. And that's just my personal perspective on it. And I feel like that should be everyone's personal perspective, because it's just way
Yeah.
cooler to work for that person, honestly, than for somebody that's not like that. And it's
Yeah.
better to work for that company, and it instills like loyalty and all of those great things.
Yeah.
But after I've been in the automation space, specifically, right, AI and hyper automation and automation space for like the last 4.5 years, and everybody's
Hmm.
talking about, they talk about reducing headcount, and they talk about ROI, and it's really quantified in human hours. Like, if we're just
Yeah.
being honest, right? But what I have seen is most people, like, they have way more than 40 hours of work to do every week, right?
Yeah.
So you have to really peel back that onion. You really have to peel it back, layer after layer, to even get them to be able to accomplish the things that are on their plate today. So we're
Hmm.
asking a lot more for our people from them than I think we used to ask. We
Hmm.
Companies invest in all of these tools, and they're like, well, I bought you this amazing software, why can't you do the
That's right.
work of three people, right? Like, I spent a fortune on this software, you are now three people. So we're all already three people
Yeah.
from the get, right? So adding automation and AI on top of that hopefully will just help us to become better. I mean, we say that AI isn't a job killer, but it might be a job category killer, right? The way like scanner and fax machines were,
Oh,
and right? And
yeah,
we're
that's true.
digitizing all these documents now. Like, you might not have to just key in data from a piece of paper into a system anymore. That might be done, but it means that we're
Hmm.
creating more work someplace else within the
Hmm.
organization. With these technology strides come new kinds of jobs, right? With the emergence of the internet, we have digital marketers, digital campaigns, right? Like, we've got all these new, thought leadership positions. I think they're great.
Yeah. Well, the idea that you get paid for this is interesting because it could be certainly within contract work, but the idea that you're paid for project completion, delivery, whatever the metrics are for
Mhm.
success in your job, instead of for hours.
Yeah.
That feels. I mean, it's been around for a while, but it feels new-ish for a lot of people, where they just sit for 40 hours, or there's been the whole like return to office stuff that's been going on, that feels like, oh, you want to see that I'm sitting there or I'm available for 40 hours a week, instead of
Mhm.
I'm really, really good at my job. I can do what others do in 40 hours, I can do in 10,
Yeah.
and just deliver on whatever it is. I'm I'm wondering if in your work, and you talk to a lot of companies, you talk to a lot without, of course, revealing anything, but trend wise, do you, do you see us going more that kind of route? So instead of being paid just simply for hours, being paid for results, or being paid for sort of delivery on a project moving forward. So then you could use the superpower and just take on as much as you want, based off of
Yeah.
what your talent or your experience is.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the industry, because we work in both the public sector, where they have to have people available to talk to constituents when they have to, right?
Absolutely.
Service
Yep.
desk, customer experience, things like that.
Yeah.
But augmenting those people with AI so we don't have to have people working really crazy hours,
Yep.
to just pick up the easy things, right?
Hmm.
Um, but that, I think that's a lifestyle improvement for most of us, that we don't have to
Hmm.
spend as much time being on call. That we could have an automated process to like reboot the server or to do an auto response to somebody, so we're serving the need, right, without
Hmm.
having to extend people's time. I mean, it's kind of all across the board. But I'll tell you, I was reading a book lately that was talking about a research study. I can bring it up on my phone if you want to know the book later. But they were looking at different companies, like technology companies, when they like
Yeah.
started up in the '90s, right? And what they found was the companies that have the point of view where we want these people to start with us and end their career with us. So we want them to
Yeah.
be lifers. We want our employees to grow with us, right? They IPO higher, they have, better revenue, they grow every year. Those are the ones that tended to be, out of the dot-com boom and all of these, things that have happened. Those are the companies that really succeed. And it's thought of as being such an old, archaic, old fashioned way of doing business. Like,
It
who
is.
wants people to stay with their company? It's all about being competitive and new blood. And what they found is that trust, when you have that philosophy, the trust that you build, if you want somebody to
Yeah.
be with you for their entire career, like you can't quantify that. All of a sudden, that fear is gone and the
Yeah.
collaboration increases and their dedication to the success of your company increases and all of those natural, awesome byproducts. So we're work from anywhere. CAI is now after the pandemic. Our CTO, my manager, Matt Peters, was work from anywhere since I, was moved under his division. So like 4.5 years ago, I've been working
Yeah.
remotely. And I love it. I connect well with my people. I, meet all my objectives. We're globally, located all over the globe. So
Yeah.
it works great for us to work under those parameters, but it doesn't fit every business model.
Yeah. 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 Well, three things. One, if you're not watching the video, sometimes I smile really big and laugh at something, and it's when you said "new blood," because it sounded like Dracula for some reason. New blood. But the other two things I love that makes me I absolutely want to see that study. Like
Hmm.
that just makes my I sound super emotional in saying this. I'm not that necessarily that kind of guy, but it makes my heart really happy that you
Hmm.
like you hire people and you it's not just lip service. That I want you to grow, I want you to succeed, I want you to have opportunities, stretch, like
Hmm.
try new things, whatever. Um, because it's sort of just baked in the turnover and the new blood
Hmm.
coming in to that space. And so um I love that. And then the last one, thank you for pointing out. I have this weird blind spot just based off of my experience where I forget about doctors and nurses and like restaurant workers, Uber driver. Like I just get into this tech brain mode where I'm like, so are you just going to pay me for being talented and delivering on this project? But you have a lot of people like, yeah, it's ours. Like, cause they have to
Hmm.
be, we don't necessarily, I don't necessarily want to pay a nurse or a doctor for, hey, can you see 5 patients, but not my dad because you knocked out your 5 patients and he's the next one down,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
pay based off hours. So thanks for
Yeah.
pointing out my blind spot on industries and things like that as we move forward. Yeah. So where do you see uh, AI taking us next? So not just the machine learning, not just automation, and I guess both professionally in the work that you're doing at CAI, but uh, even personally, because it seems like that's even a mid ground. If we've got augmented intelligence, like why wouldn't it be in our personal lives as well?
Mhm.
Like you work with this a lot. The rest of us are like hobbyists. This is like ham radio for us, but you do this professionally. What what are you seeing? Like where if you had to guess, like where are we kind of headed next with this stuff?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is like my favorite topic. So we I could guess and be wrong, like, disclaimer,
Sure.
like, 1,000%
Yeah.
wrong, right?
I'm
But
wrong
it's
all the time.
already
Yeah.
right. Oh, me too. So it's already in our lives though, right? Like, so much. Like, my mother was this super effective, productive, like, you give her a phone and a phone tree, she could change the whole world, my mother. And
The phone
and then
tree.
oh, for real, remember the phone tree, from the
Oh, yeah.
'90s? Those
Yeah,
moms
yeah,
would just
yeah.
okay. So and dads, whatever. So
Yeah.
but like me, I don't wanna talk to another human, like, no offense, I'm like Gen X, like millennial, kinda like in betweener. I don't wanna talk to other humans unless I absolutely have to, you know? And then my daughter she's a swiper, right? She grew up with like an
Mhm.
iPad and her phone. But my son is 4 years old and he just talks to Alexa, like
Mm.
she who shall not be named, right?
That's right.
Into thin air. And he's like, Mommy, why don't you just ask her? She knows everything. So these models, these AI solutions are everywhere in our lives. And if I'm just being honest, like, I love them. Like, they make my life so much easier predicting things. Like, you and I
Yeah.
spoke initially about R1, right?
I
Rabbit
know. The
R1.
Rapid R1. Mhm.
I fell right down the rabbit hole when that came out. It's like pun fully intended. I mean, our brains were exploding because I feel like that is everything we've been talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
the idea of actionable AI changed the way we do development, fundamentally
Mhm.
changed our design patterns for how we build automations like 2+ years ago. We started
Mhm.
building them in these individual code snippets, right? That just did this one small thing. And then when you build them together, they can take an action. So
Mhm.
that way, when we have the AI capability to do one or more of these actions in a sequence, it could pull the correct code snippets and APIs and all these
Yeah.
pieces together to orchestrate like an action to do something
Yeah.
nice for me. And that's what Rabbit is doing on, I don't want to say a simplified level because it's super
It's
complicated, but when
it's
you look at like
complicated,
the
but yeah.
but in a business setting, you take it to like the nth degree, right? It's just like
Mhm.
exponentially more complex to pull all this data and feed it to all these different systems and all the conditional statements, right? So
Mhm.
it's a much more monumental task to do it in a large organization than, get me a pizza to my location. It's still amazing that it's able to
That
do
is
it, right?
amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. It can navigate my phone or an Android. I mean, it
Yep.
can do it. Like but like the fact that it came this early in 2024 is really exciting. And
Yeah. That's a yeah.
between work and dinner and taking the kids to all their things and the high school things and the preschool things and just life, right? I feel like anything that can make our very busy schedules that much easier and help me organize my time and get maximize my time that I get to spend with humans, right? So
Yeah.
I spend less time researching something and I get to like look my kiddo in the eye or heaven forbid talk to my husband or share a meal with him while we're talking. I mean, give it to me. Anything that any technology that can get me that like dream of reality. I'll take it. I'll try it out.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's what
there's
I
something
think.
really different when you talk about dinner. There's something really different, than, "Hey, I want Indian food. What are my options?" Or even right now, we would
Hmm.
open up, Google Maps or something and take a look, or you open up, Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever. You open up those
Hmm.
things.
Yeah.
There's something different to doing that versus, like, "Hey, whoever," I don't know, "Hey, Rufus,
Hmm.
we need Indian food for 5. Order the same thing that we always order. Need it here by 6." Okay. Well, and then that's it.
Yeah.
You didn't go
Yeah.
looking, you didn't have to find it, you didn't have to do anything else, like, that's actionable, that comes through instead of telling you how to do it, it just does it.
100%. But do you notice when you see the prototype, there's that extra step, which I was so excited to see the ethical, responsible AI. It always says,
Yeah.
like, I'm going to do this. This is the itinerary. Do you want me to book it? I'm going to
Mhm,
order the
mhm,
pizza. Do you
mhm.
want me to do this? Here's what, it's displaying or telling you out loud, I'm going to do this. Are you cool with it? Because at the end of the day, if that pizza gets delivered to your old address, or,
Oh.
you said the wrong dates. Like I said in March, I meant April. Like, don't, I wish you didn't book that non-refundable ticket. Thanks. Thanks, AI,
Yeah. Y
Um, yeah, I want that. Like, are you sure I'm about to do this for you? Is
yeah,
this the way
yeah.
you wanted it done? Are you sure? Do I need to fix anything here? Did I mess? You didn't want this dish. It was too spicy last time. You actually want this other one? Yeah, that's not
That's
making my life easier. It's making my life harder, is what that, and more expensive, right?
oh, I
So,
know. You know, it's interesting you bring that up from an ethical standpoint. That does make sense because there's a part of me, it's like, I don't know, then it's my fault that I did it, or the AI is not smart enough to know that I said March, but I probably mean April because that's my mom's birthday, or
right?
I'm wearing the device somehow in
Mhm,
me that says, "Hey,
mhm,
Sean, your body doesn't do well when you eat the super spicy Indian food. Let me take care of that from that front." But it does make sense, like ethically, because it keeps the final decision, the review, like whatever that is, that keeps that with me, even if the
mhm.
AI is smart enough to know,
Yeah,
which is that's what's freaking people out now. Like, hey, I know you better than you know yourself. This is what we're gonna get.
yeah,
You want garlic naan today because X, Y, and Z happened over the past week instead of regular naan. Like
yeah.
that's yeah, that's new. And keeping the
Mhm.
human piece to that does feel really ethical.
Yeah, and responsible and all the good things. So it's like you can have your cake and eat it too. Because at the end of the
Oh
day, if
yeah.
you do the stupid thing and AI lets you do it, it's like, well, you could blame the AI, but ultimately, especially in a business context, it's on you, right?
I know.
So
I know.
making making sure that the
I know.
humans in the
I know.
driver's seat is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, it's the same with
that's good
code.
stuff.
Or when you program, you
Yeah.
think like, oh no, no, it's the code or it's the whatever. When you first start, like, I'm doing this absolutely right. I know I'm doing it right.
Hmm.
And then you miss a semicolon or a bracket or
Right.
something goofy that's in there, and then you
Hmm.
realize, oh yeah, the machine's not gonna lie. The machine's gonna do what you
Right.
tell the machine to do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, so it sounds like then this augmented intelligence, moving forward, just making lives a little bit easier so they have time to be, I mean, from what you're saying, so they have time to be human, to make those actual connections, to make decisions, to be creative. It just allows
Mhm.
for more of that to happen than just doom scrolling your inbox or being
Mhm.
taken away to something else. Does that sound right on kind of where you're falling on this stuff?
It does. I mean, no matter what it is, I feel like that it removes the blank sheet of paper. It's always so much harder to
Yeah.
start with a blank sheet of paper. It's like I'm just going to stream of consciousness into this, and you're going to help me create something, and then I'm going to refine it and make it better. It's like a different level. It's a collaboration with an
Hmm.
artificial intelligence to augment our human capability and
Oh,
accelerate
awesome.
business. Yeah, and
Yeah.
accelerate our
Yeah.
lives. How about that? Accelerate parenthood.
Well, accelerate parenthood. Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah.
Turn 18, turn 18. Yeah.
Right?
No, I love it. Well, speaking of acceleration, what's next for you? What are you going to be doing next? Professionally or projects or playing with AI?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of acceleration in the IT service desk space.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just hyper automation all the way. Accelerate where you can, leverage this intelligently, responsibly, but like give these folks the tools and the capabilities they need to be successful. But yeah,
Hmm.
AI implementations, automation implementations. I love it. I love just talking to stakeholders and saying, well, what are your goals? Not the little ones. Give
Yeah,
me the big goals. You want to improve customer experience, you want to
yeah,
improve employee experience, you want to, what are your goals, and then how can we leverage AI and automation to make those happen. I mean,
yeah.
it gets me up in the morning, what can I say?
Well, if it makes it easier for me, reaching out to IT and they say, "Hey, can you create a ticket for that?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, sure." And natural language, type it in, create the ticket. I never have to go into ServiceNow. I never have to go in anywhere else, and
Oh, yeah,
and
we
I'm
have
done.
that.
That's
We
amazing.
have that. It's embedded right
You
into Teams. I haven't been in service now since we rolled it out, not once.
oh, great. Yeah, there's a tinge of, jealousy, envy, so to
Mhm,
speak,
mhm,
when you tell me
for
that,
sure.
uh,
Yeah.
which I love. Well, where can we find out more about CAI, the stuff that you're working about? Do you have white paper studies, webinars, things like that that we can learn more?
We have all of those things on LinkedIn, and our website is www.cai.io. We have the IO exchange at the end, which is a little
Yeah,
different for a technologist.
very
But
cool.
and I'm Christina Kucek, Kucek on LinkedIn. Ping me. This is my favorite topic, so I'd love to keep the conversation going.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for joining us. You gave me a lot of you gave me a lot to think about to the point that I
Awesome.
can't use words here at the end.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's really been a
Yeah.
pleasure talking with you today.